So welcome to day 2 of our heart-to-heart talks. Yesterday we met to talk about attracting love into your life and how to keep harmony in your relationships. And today we continue our discussion. Today's topics are feminine and masculine polarities in the relationship, conscious sexuality, very juicy topics. And also we are going to talk about communication, because it's such an integral part of relationships. We're communicating with others, with our environment, with ourselves consistently, okay? And just bringing awareness to the communication is so important. Once again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Irina. I am love and relationships coach. I am also enrolled in a licensing program for marriage and couples therapy. So basically, I've been doing this important work for about 10 years. And I'm continue learning, continue to figure out ways to bring this knowledge to you and to educate people about their relationships, about their lives, about ways to empower and improve themselves. This is my passion. Okay, and I also have been studying tantric teachings for quite some time. I integrate this knowledge with scientific knowledge and research studies and sort of like Eastern and Western approaches to our psyche, to our relationships, and our spirituality. With that being said, we're going to start with feminine and masculine polarities. So why is this important? Why do we need to be aware of feminine and masculine? Well, you know, that's how we were created, men, women. But feminine and masculine polarities are not identified with a gender, although each gender has predominantly masculine, such as men, or predominantly feminine. But this is not to say that we do not have both in us, okay? So we're just going to shift from that understanding of gender. We're going to speak about masculine and feminine polarities within ourselves. What is feminine? Feminine is an expression. It's everything that gives life to all. It's ability to extend yourself to the world. Ability to create things. Embrace life for everything there is. With a lot of emotion, a lot of expression, a lot of feeling. Art, music, all the stuff that science associates with right brain, and then tantric teachings were associated with feminine, is a creative feminine polarity, okay? So it's an expressive polarity. And what is masculine? Masculine is a force, direct force, energy, okay? So right now, I am here with you, teaching you, sharing my knowledge. I'm tapping into my masculine polarity because I'm being direct in delivering this knowledge to you. Okay, so I'm tapping into that direct force. Even though I'm doing this in a gentle way, you know, I am still tapping into direct force energy. Okay, and I'm creating space for you to learn. So masculine energy is really creating and holding space and making things possible. It's an energy that gives life to all. Okay, we need both. And what happens a lot of times when women take on a lot of masculine, which they need at work, in their careers and in their life, just accomplishing day-to-day tasks, with their relationship, when there's no awareness how to tap into the feminine, back to the feminine, what happens is there's disconnect with the partner. And the way men read this energy is constantly direct force, which they identify as masculine. It happens on a subconscious level, right? So it's very important when you at home with a partner, when you come home, and even when you're single, start tapping into that feminine energy, coming in, unwinding, putting soft music, dancing, moving your body, tapping into your body, bringing flowers at home, burning candles, using essential oils. And I talk about this in my Aromas of Love and Intimacy audio, how to tap into your physical body, your emotions, your feelings, how to get into this sensual play with your partner or with yourself. I will give you information on it later in the presentation. So basically creating the space for that. And also with the partner, just being present, coming home and just being present with him or her, just tapping into that. Understanding that being present, and we talked about this yesterday, is very important in any relationship. Okay, we want to be met on a deeper level. We want to be understood. We want to be heard. And if we going to ask our partners to do it for us, we have to be willing to put in the work too, right? Because it works both ways. So just being aware of when you are using your feminine and when you're using your masculine. Okay, and the same goes with men. Sometimes men bring that direct force energy they use at work, they bring it home, and they in that constant drive of directness, and they're just not present, and they approach sexuality in the same way. And women are more, we need more time, our sexuality is slower. It's just the way we are biologically. We need time. We need to be nurtured. We need to open up to things, right? So it's important for men to be also aware that women just program differently. And sometimes when a woman doesn't want sex, it doesn't mean that she doesn't want it. That she needs time. She needs to feel it. She needs to open up to it, right? And it's all about energy. And when you bring yourself to presence with another person, and when you approach things differently and allow time and space for a woman to open up, it will happen. It will happen. So just knowing, understanding that as a man, tapping into that feminine soft energy of creation, expression. I know it takes time and vulnerability and interpersonal work that we talked about yesterday, but it's so worth it. You deeply meet other people, and it's totally on a different level, and you'll see shifts in your relationships because of that, because of this knowledge, because of holding this kind of awareness about your masculine and feminine. Our society doesn't promote that, especially in men. It's kind of put on big boys pants and do what you have to do, don't express it. Even sometimes men have trouble expressing grief or going through the process until they start feeling symptoms in their physical body. So because of suppression of feminine, okay? So feminine is not putting on a skirt and acting like a woman, and that's what a lot of men they're confused about. Feminine means you tapping into expression. You allowing yourself to feel the emotion, to go through feelings, to embrace life, and to show up for a woman. Or if you're in a gay relationship, show up for your partner in a more expressive way, right? And this is giving me a segue to communication, right? Because this is so related to one another. Segue to communication. Again, holding space, using your masculine polarity to hold space and be present for another person. So And it involves listening. It involves listening. So listening and allowing another person to show up the way they are and express the way they express. How are you going to learn about another person if you don't listen? If you don't listen, what their needs are, what their wants are, how they interact with their environment, right? So being a listener and holding that space, tapping into masculine energy. And I apologize, I have a dog. She's a woman and very expressive. So it's all part of Mother Nature. So you may hear her barking sometimes in the background. Anyhow, really holding space and listening. So number one, listening to your partner. Number two, listening without judgment. And that's a big one. Because our judgments, where does it come from? It comes from our own inner traumas, our insecurities, our pains and sufferings, our conditioning. So it comes from, I call it stuff, right? Our own inner stuff. So right away, when we hear something that doesn't fit in our mindset, we react. We react, or we blame, or we accuse, and this is just a ego defense to protect the trauma, to protect the identity. Understanding that, breathing through the judgments, and asking yourself, do I hear what another person is saying to me? And you don't have to respond right away. And I always encourage my couples that come to me, we work out a plan. Again, each person is different. Some people it takes them more than others to open up and go through the process. But generally speaking, taking time to respond, understanding that you don't have to respond immediately, because what place are you coming from? And that's a hard part, because we want to react or fix things or prove ourselves or prove our point to another person. But it's not always healthy. And that's how resentments happen, right? We start resenting another person, or if another person doesn't get the reaction that they expect from us, they resent us. So being aware that you do not need to respond immediately to your partner if something does not feel right to you. Okay, so I'm not encouraging anybody not to address things that don't feel right. You should address things, but there's a way of addressing things, right? So if your partner is expressing to you that he or she wants to try something sexually, something different, something that you were not exposed to or you have different views about, understanding that he or she's coming from another place, another background, another culture, different experiences, different mindsets, understanding that, right? It has nothing to do with you. This has to do with the partner's internal world, and they expressing to you what they want, and you holding the space and listening. Now, if this is something that you love and something immediately agrees and resonates with you, you can accept it and you guys can talk about this, communicating how it would look like, what would it be, so that it works for both parties. A lot of times, we don't talk about, especially sexual experiences. We don't discuss how things are going to look like. What is this going to be like? So we kind of hoping it all will work out. And if it doesn't, then we are left with feelings of disappointment or a little bit of that kind of somebody took advantage of you, or, things did not go that way and you feel really hurt. So this is why it's so important to just discuss things. If you're accepting to another person's proposal, discuss. What is this going to look like? Ask questions. So how do you see this happening? So what is my part in all of this? How do you feel? Then take time to process. Take time to process it all. Don't react. And once you process what will feel right to you, what would not feel right to you, okay? Then you go back to your partner and you offer your perspective and you offer your solution to it. And you can say, I hear where you're coming from and it sounds nice. And I'm using a sexual experience as an example. This could be anything in your life. This could be as simple as purchasing a vase. Sometimes people disagree on that because different people have different styles. Who has modern, who has classic, who has Victorian preference, right? Or color of the walls. And this creates sometimes discussion and conflict and argument in couples. So just say, well, listen, I this is a great idea. I really like it, and I see how that could work and where you're coming from. But what do you think if we can also add this to it, or we can bring this to it? So this way you're finding a common ground where you giving your partner an opportunity to have or partially have what they want, and also it would be in a modified version because you're adding your own creativity or your own needs and desires. Okay? And that's how you create communication. When there's no judgment and there's no none of that tension and resentment in the communication, it's a free flow. And you'll find a different way of resolving things. But sometimes you give in and things are just not important, what color wall or, what vase it is. And, some things are just not important. But some things that are important and need attention and need compromise, this is where communication comes in. Very, very important. And communication is an extremely broad topic, and there's so many techniques and so many ways and so many little niches, to be aware of. This is a general talk on communication. It's a huge topic that will probably take me another 5 heart-to-heart talks to go into details. Because it's very essential to human life. So just also talking about conscious sexuality. What is conscious sexuality? And we already covered some of it. Being aware of your feminine and masculine polarities, of expression and direct energy, okay? And communication. Understanding your needs, sexual needs in this relationship, and also understanding your partner's desire without losing yourself. And we talked about this yesterday when we spoke about autonomy and intimacy. So having that balance of having your needs met sexually while also being aware of your partner's desire and blending into that desire. I actually posted something on Instagram, which was a beautiful graphic of 2 people uniting and connecting together. And I wrote a little bit of expression on conscious sexuality. People say, well, what is it? It's awareness. It's awareness of your senses. What are you feeling? What are you seeing? How are you connecting to another person? Are you really paying attention to every touch, every kiss, every stroke, every sensation you are having? Or is it more of an automatic kind of release? Let's get to the finish line and get it over with, right? And that's for a lot of people, that's what it is. It's just release, which is also part of masculine energy to get to that emptiness. Remember, masculine is all about space. So creating space, and how you create space, you empty it out. That's how men are, they're driven by the masculine force. Understanding that about your partner, taking the time to really learn about each other's body, and there's no better way to learn that than start learning about your own body first. I encourage if you're single or you're in a relationship, it doesn't matter. Take time to explore your body. What feels right? What feels wrong? What where are your sensitive spots? How do you like to be touched? How do you like to be kissed? So this way you can communicate to your right? And also taking time in the relationship to talk about sexuality. My men friends and clients, they always tell me, but we don't talk about sex, we just do it. Well, that's wonderful. But then is your partner happy about that, right? I mean, you always want it has to do with personal work. Nobody's perfect. I'm not saying you're doing something wrong or bad. It's always a way to learn new things and improve yourself. Yes. So yeah, just being aware of your senses. And I talk in my aromas of love and intimacy, I talk about sensual play and ways to bring that sensuality and senses of awareness in your love life. So I encourage you to take advantage of the I'm having for months of February. I'm having a special offer, which is only $39. It's 5 lessons in an audio series, and you can listen to it in the car, on the train, in your commute. And it has transcript with it too, plus some recommendations on essential oils and how to bring them into your lovemaking and into your space, and some oils that are aphrodisiacs that can actually enhance your experience. So that's all being consciously aware. That's all, understanding how human senses work, how we experience our world. And we experience our world through senses because we are sensory, we are sensual beings. Again, conscious sexuality is an incredibly beautiful topic, and it will take me many, many, many days to get into it in depth. This is definitely something to talk about because there's so many components to it and so many subtopics. Definitely, this is a great foundation. This conversation we're having now is a great foundation for future heart-to-heart talks with me, where we can actually dissect all these subtopics and dive deeper into our conversations. So I'm looking forward to host more of these talks. My last advice to you guys is to really spend time going within and learning about your body, learning about your emotions, learning about your feelings, learning about your sense of smell and how important it is in your experience with the world. Really exploring your sexuality and sensuality and your experiences and your feminine and masculine polarities. Just being aware what force you are using and how that feels. Getting feedback from your partner too, very important. But remember, number one is non-judgment. And my advice to you, if you need help, like a third-party intervention, such as a psychologist or therapist or love coach or sexuality coach or tantric coach or relationships experts, or you can take a class to invest in your personal growth. There are support groups out there that you can reach out to. Definitely seek that, because it's all part of personal growth, and sometimes we need to learn more or to have other people to guide us through the process. Last thing you want is to have your partner as your therapist or ask your partner to help you figure out things. This is not healthy, because then it gives a different dynamic to a relationship. And this is not, you find yourself in a way where you become more of an outlet for trauma expression for another person, and that it's not that's how it should be, right? So we all responsible for our own personal work and bringing that into our relationship. I strongly encourage you to seek classes, courses, again, therapy, anything that will help you to dive deeper into yourself, to have better relationships, to attract the love that you want. And with that being said, I will post information on Instagram and on social media sites. I will email all my followers how they can purchase the audio of Aromas of Love and Intimacy. Again, it's an audio series and it has 5 components. I'm going to read them to you, what it actually includes. So it has component 1, sexual desire and physical body. And when I post a link, you can go and read some summaries of each section and see if that resonates with you. Always reach out and ask questions as well. Second lesson is feelings, emotion, and essential oils. And it's about just briefly moving energy, expression, tapping into feminine aspect of ourselves and how to move the emotions through our body. We also have human senses and sensuality, and we dive deeper in our sensual being. Very juicy topic. Then we have aphrodisiac essences that you can bring into your space, into your environment. We go into details into those, and I give recommendation of certain senses and blends that you can make yourself at home. It's complementary, just sharing my knowledge as a holistic aromatherapist. So take advantage of that, very beautiful knowledge. And we have sensual play, where I actually talk to you about sensual play, what it involves, and some techniques that can really be beautiful and wonderful and heart opening for you and your partner. So definitely take advantage of this audio. It is always available, but for months of February, because it's a month of love, it is a special price of only $29. I will post a link for you, and I wish you lots of love, beauty, wonderful experiences in love alive.